I read that the LME is down to like 35 million ounces of silver, and that's pretty shocking. I've never seen that low of a number before, because normally it's in the 100 to 150 million, in that range. It's kind of been in that range for probably 20 years. And for it to break through 100 and now down, if those numbers are correct, that's pretty silly numbers. But look, we are going into a worldwide recession. That's clear. The central banks of the world seem to want to crush this market. Crush the economy for the absolutely wrong reasons. We can talk about the World Economic Forum and all the stuff that's going on there and why they're doing what they're doing. But nevertheless, they are doing it, and it's sucking down commodities. You've seen oil come off 140. It's now in the mid 80s. You've seen copper come down. You've seen lead, zinc. You've seen silver. Everything's being sold off. I think corn is probably the only interesting looking commodity right now. They're all down, and this is likely going to continue for at least a few more quarters. I hate to say it, but at silver at 1950, it's a stupid price. Supply demand fundamentals for silver can't be better. We've got two industries like the automotive sector, who's consuming something like 80 million ounces of silver this year, and then the solar panel sector is consuming something in the order of 160 million ounces of silver. That's two industries right there that are consuming almost 30% of the world's supply. The miners are only producing about 850 million ounces of silver this year, approximately. You got two buyers taking up a lot of that silver. That's pretty nutty, and with prices the way they are, it's silly. But we don't fix the price. The miners have no control over their silver price, despite the fact that I'd love to have control over it. It's the big hedge funds, it's the big banks who set price, and they think there's a recession coming, so they short silver.
I assume you've spent quite a bit of time studying the history of the price of silver. What's in your view the macro environment that silver bull markets tend to favor?
Well, you need gold to move. It shouldn't have to move, but because I don't look at gold and silver as the same, but the market looks at gold and silver as the same. So despite what we think, the market's bigger than how you and I think. Maybe one day silver and gold will decouple. Who knows, right? We've seen cobalt, we've seen platinum and palladium and nickel most recently, all kind of break away from their, historic trends, and due to paper market shenanigans and, short positions and squeezes and things like that. So, that could happen in silver. We saw the glimpse of a short squeeze, about a year ago, the Reddit crowd and so on and so forth, but it didn't last very long. That could happen again because, the physical market is extremely tight. You try to buy, just to give you an example, our website, we sell silver off of our website, as you likely know. And this year, we're twice our volumes of last year right now. And we're making $4 on spot, on top of spot on those sales. And it's embarrassing to get $4 over spot, but everyone else is getting $5 or $6 over spot. So we don't want to give the silver away, but at the same time, it's just nutty out there, because there's just all the mints are at the end of their wits. The mints cannot produce any more ounces. The bottleneck is not so much in the refining, but it's in the mints. And it's an interesting market, not something I've seen before.
What do you think are big catalysts for precious metals over the coming, say, 2 years? Do you think that we could see a Fed pivot? Do you think that we could see, say, China and Russia come out and back some sort of commodity-backed currency, or some funny things happening over on the LME? What do you think could ultimately move the price of silver over the next couple of years?
Well, I think there's three potential catalysts. The paper market could run into trouble. And we all know that. We've been talking about that for over a decade. And COMEX, LME, or whatever the case may be. And with the inventories down to the levels that they're down at, maybe that's pointing at a potential problem. but you're dealing with some pretty big, powerful banks that know how to fix things pretty well. So even though there's a possibility of the paper market breaking, I wouldn't count on it, but it's always possible. The other thing is we could see headline coming up and saying, hey, look, Tesla, Apple, Samsung, can't produce their products because they can't get any silver. And the second, the word silver shows up in a headline, because you see lithium, you see nickel, you see copper, you see these metals showing up on headlines now and then, talking about the new Green Deal or, going green or, whatever. But you never see silver being mentioned in headlines when it comes to the whole green energy story or supply-demand fundamentals of the metal, right? As a result of electric cars and solar panels and computers and all the technologies that we rely on, which are huge consumers of silver. There's a real disconnect between the knowledge of the public and what silver is. And if Reuters or Bloomberg actually came out with a story saying, hey, look, this is a serious issue, we may not be able to produce these products because we just simply don't have enough silver, then that's going to light up a bunch of hedge funds and get people excited. That could happen, and that's real, and because that is actually happening in front of our eyes, where we're running into huge supply problems in the silver industry, and no one's talking about it. And of course, the other third thing that could happen is gold. Once the Fed, once the market realizes, okay, the Fed is done, we're now at 4% or whatever you name the number, it doesn't really matter what the number is, and we're not going to raise any more, or they may pivot and then start to reduce. I'm not expecting that anytime soon, but just the fact that they stop raising rates will be enough to get the hedge funds start to coming into the gold sector again. And once that happens, silver will also move with gold.
Okay, let's talk about First Majestic. So you guys produced a record 8.8 million silver equivalent ounces in Q3.
Yeah.
What's the key driver behind this this production? Is it just the fact that you're able to sell it for so much, or is this just something you guys have been working to, as sort of the last 5-year plan type thing?
Yeah, well, we started investing pretty heavily a couple years ago. When the metal prices started to look pretty good. Back in 2015 or 2014, 2015, things were pretty bad in the mining sector. We had, I forget now, $1,100 gold and, $14, actually $12 to $14 silver. And it was pretty tough to, make money at those kinds of prices. So we really curtailed our investment. But come 2018, 2019, when the metals smartened up and started to look a little bit better, we started to invest quite a lot of money into mill expansions, mining development, underground development to get access to ore, and of course exploration. We have record exploration. We have 300,000 meters of exploration going on right now. We've got 30 drill rigs active in the business, and we're spending records amount of money on development as well, and also the mills, as I said. So this is all translating into higher production, and next year is even going to be better.